The report itself was published in 2014, but it was a bit of labor of love really for ourselves, and you know, it was a process that really started about a year and a half before that, really, before the actual publication. And I recall we were both working what at the time was called the School of Education Studies in DCU, based in the other campus. And an email came around really in our department asking if there was anybody interested in doing a little bit of research on fighting words and evaluating the work of fighting words. And it just happened that myself and Irene responded to that particular call. And I think it was down to specific interest that we both had. Certainly from my point of view, I was interested in dialogical practices in education and democracy in education. And from the very little I knew at the time, I felt there was possibly a connection that I could explore a little bit more in relation to fighting words.
Yeah, and like that, I had heard about fighting words. I didn't know an awful lot about them. But from my sense of what I knew, I felt it was an organisation that I'd like to get to know more about, and I myself had an interest in creative writing and in participatory arts practices. So yeah, when the call came in, it was one that interested me, so we both worked together on it then.
When we looked at, you know, the development of literacy, the love of English, the academic development, certainly were dimensions that emerged from it, but they were only a portion, and possibly, I would say, not the most important one. There was very much a development of confidence in those who participate, a sense of empowerment, sense of voice, and sense of, you know, being able to achieve something that they thought was beyond their means, was beyond their ability. And I think this idea of, that really kind of emerged very strongly was that everybody can be creative in a very, you know, in different ways according to their own interest, in their ability to express themselves, but that really kind of became a very dominant kind of finding really in our research. Also, other core element of it was that in some way connected to that sense of empowerment is resilience and also the ability to take leadership in whatever the students were doing. I remember one principal in a school in a very disadvantaged area remarked how the students in a school who had taken part in the project were more likely to continue on with their studies when in other occasions, you know, he had witnessed a high level of dropout from school. He also mentioned how these students were actually had a sort of knock-on effect on other students who were taking leadership role. They were trying to motivate other students. And this per se was quite a remarkable finding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it would seem that, you know, this kind of freedom that they had in terms of expressing themselves, that ability to express their ideas gave them tremendous confidence, and that confidence has boosted their self-esteem and then had that knock-on effect in other spheres of their life. This self-confidence and self-esteem then seemed to just engender this kind of a can-do attitude, where because they experienced and tasted success in one particular domain, it was almost like it had that domino effect in that they felt that they could then equally be just as successful at something else, that if they were able to draw on their own kind of inner strength and resilience to apply themselves, to see something through to completion, all those things that they learned in the creative writing process, that they were kind of had internalized these and saw how they could now use them in other areas and apply that same kind of thinking to other spheres. So that was something that was really strong, I think, in the data.